Hi everyone and welcome to a new video. This time I'm doing something different, and I don't only love to sew but I also love to knit. So I thought it would be fun to make a knitting video, and I was right. I really enjoyed making this video and I would love to make more. This does mean that I decided to rebrand my channel and change the name from Sewing with Tess to Stitches by Tess. Since stitches can refer to sewing and knitting, I thought this would be perfect for the content I want to make in the future. So for this first knitting video I will be showing how I made this sweater. This is a sweater that I designed myself and wrote a pattern for as well. The pattern is linked in the description below, so if you are interested in making this yourself you can get it there. The sweater is a cropped sweater, which you can see right here, and it has short sleeves, and the design on the front is inspired by the ACOTAR Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J. Maas. I call this the Velaris 2.0 sweater because I have another version, or not another version, I made another Velaris sweater, which is the Velaris 1.0, which I'll also link in the description below if you're interested in that one. I really love how this turned out. I really like the color combination. So let's start knitting. Okay, so I have my chart here that I made, and I already made some adjustments after printing it out. So we'll see. I'll probably make some more adjustments as I go along. For the yarn I'm using, I have, for the main color, I have this combination. This is Drops Alpaca in color 4400, and then I'm pairing it with this Drops Kid Silk, which is a silk mohair in the shade 16. And then for the contrast color I'm using this Katia Concept Alpaca Silver in the shade 250, and I'm pairing that with Drops Kid Silk Silk Mohair in shade 38. First thing I need to do is to cast on, and I need 95 stitches. And what I like to do is get my stitch markers, and in this case I will be using 1 per 10 stitches, so I'll just grab 9 of these. So then I can just put 1 stitch marker on after every 10 stitches, and I won't have to count as much. So I have my smaller needle here. This is a 2.5 needle, and then I'm going to use the long tail. Then I'm making a slip knot, put it on my needle, and get started. 9, 10, put my stitch marker on, and keep going. Now I'm going to start the first row, and I'm going to do a 1 by 1 twisted rib, which means that on the right side I'm knitting through the back loop, and on the wrong side I'm purling through the back loop. And I'm starting with a knit stitch. So I'm going in through the back loop, knitting it, then I'm purling as usual. So let's keep doing this for this entire row. I have now finished 70 rows in total of the twisted ribbing. Now we're going to go on and continue in the stocking stitch, and on this first row, which is on the wrong side, we are doing a couple of increases. And what I like to do is to half the increases in a make one left and one make one right. And I'm also switching now to my larger needle size. Let's get started. because this is the wrong side and now I have to purl all the stitches. So if I start with just normal 6 stitches purling. I'm going to do my increase and I'm going to start with a make one left purl. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the bar between the stitches, and because this is a make one left, I'm going in from the front to the back like this, and then I'm going to purl the back loop, which will be a bit fiddly. There we go. And now I've increased one stitch, and now I have to purl 12 more. So now I'm doing a make one right, which means I'm going in from the back to the front and purling the front loop. So now we've done our increases and at the same time switch to a larger needle size. And now I need to continue stocking stitch for, I believe, 16 rows, and then we start working on the colorwork. I have now finished the bit of stockinette stitch, which ended up being 22 rows. And now it's time to start working on the colorwork. So we're at the point where we are going to make the Velaris text, and in the final written pattern it will just be this part that will be the chart, so you won't have the sides because that's just unnecessary. So I've counted the stitches on both sides and I will just knit those, then place a stitch marker, work on this chart, and then place a stitch marker again so that on the next rows I don't have to count. And I'm going to start, and because this is a right side row I have to read the chart from right to left. So we're starting on this side. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Then I've got 3 stitches in purple. Let's just continue working this row now. Okay, so status update. I have now finished just a little over half of the big design. It is how it's looking right now. And as you can see, I've just passed the stars right here and the mountains are now almost, they're completely finished. I'm so excited to continue working on this and see the final result. I'm now at the point where I need to start shaping for the armholes. So on these next 2 rows, I'm going to cast off 4 stitches at the beginning of the row. And then when we're done with those 2 rows, we're going to just do some decreases. So now I'm just going to continue working the chart as I did before. So now I'm on the 2nd row and again going to cast off 4 stitches at the beginning. So again, just continuing the row as I did before. And now I'm going to start my decrease rows. I'm going to do 6 in total and they're going to be done on the right side. And I'm leaving 3 edge stitches. So I'm knitting the first 3 stitches normally. And for this we're doing a slip slip knit. So I'm slipping this stitch as if to knit without knitting it. Doing that for the 2nd one, then putting them back on my left needle and knitting through the back loop. So now we've just done our first decrease, and I'm going to continue till we have 5 stitches left. So I now have 5 stitches left on my needle, and now I'm going to do the decrease on the other side. I'm going to knit 2 together. So I'm grabbing these 2 stitches at once and I'm knitting them as one. Now I need to do this 5 more times on the right side and just knit the wrong side as usual. I am now at the point where I need to start shaping the neckline. I'm going to knit 31 stitches. Then put 21 stitches on a piece of scrap yarn for the neckline. And then I'm going to put these last 31 stitches on a piece of scrap yarn as well, so that we can then later start working on this one. I just cast off this left side, so now the front piece is all done. And I really like how this turned out. And I cannot wait to see what it looks like when it's actually a sweater. So now that the front is done, I can start working on the back. Okay, I'm now at the point where the instructions for the back panel are different from the front panel. So I've done the armhole shaping right here, and then I've done 20 rows just without shaping. And on the front panel we would now have to start working on the neckline, but for the back panel I'm just gonna have to continue working the normal rows without shaping for, I believe, 26 more rows. I'm just gonna go ahead and get my coffee and knit these 26 rows, and then we'll be back for the neckline shaping. Okay, so I finished my 26 rows of just straight across, and I'm now at the final row of the back piece. To finish this, I'm going to cast off 23 stitches on beginning at the end, finish the shoulder part. So I'm going to go ahead and cast 23 off. And that should be number 23. Now I'm gonna have to knit 37 stitches, which will be for the neckline. Now I'm gonna start casting off these final stitches. So the shoulder pieces are now cast off, and now I'm going to transfer these stitches to some scrap yarn. Before I do the sleeves, I just want to go ahead and sew the shoulder seam together. I finished the seams off camera because it was really difficult to see what I was doing with the camera in front of me. So now the main body is done, and I can start moving on to the sleeve. So the sleeves are going to be worked mainly in the round. So I've got my smaller needles again, and I have to cast on, let me check my notes, 63 stitches, and that's 63. So now I'm going to join this in the round, and I'd like to work the magic loop method for the sleeve. I'm just going to make sure my stitches are not twisted. And the first row after catching on was a bit tricky. I'm just going to keep going. Okay, I realized I read my notes wrong and I was supposed to cast on 62 stitches. So I just purled the final 2 stitches together. So now I have 62 stitches. Now I'm just quickly gonna go and continue this 1 by 1 twisted rib for about 4 centimeters, and then we'll be back to start working on the rest of the sleeve. Okay, so here we have about 4 centimeters of the twisted rib. So now I need to start making some increases to this. I'm first going to knit 6 stitches as usual. And now I'm going to make a yarn over, so I'm bringing my yarn to the front. And then I'm going to knit 10. And again, make a yarn over. And I'm just going to continue this pattern of knitting 10 and then doing a yarn over till I get to the final 6 stitches. And now I only have 6 stitches left, so I'm just going to knit these normally. So now on the next round we are going to knit all the yarn overs through the back loop to make sure that we don't accidentally create a hole. So the increase rounds are finished and now I can start working on the main part of the sleeve. To do this I'm going to change to my larger needles again. So for this I'm going to work in stocking stitch, and then every 4th round we're going to do some increases. On this first round I'm going to switch to the bigger needles. So now we are ready to start working on the increases. As you can see, I've kind of changed where the magic loop kind of breaks, so that now the center or the beginning of round is in the middle of this needle, because we'll be doing the increases next to these stitches, so I thought it would be easier to keep it in the middle. And for the increases we are going to keep 2 center stitches and then we're going to make the increases next to those. So for the beginning of the round we're going to just knit 1 stitch. And then we're going to make a increase and we're going to make 1 left. So we're going to pick up this bar in between, front to the back. And the way I remember which one I have to do is that if I now pick this up, it leans to the left. And then we're going to knit through the back loop, otherwise we would create a hole. And now we've increased 1. So let's continue working the round till we get to the end of the round. So now as you can see I have 1 stitch left, and that means I now need to do my increase, which is in make 1 right. So this time I'm going from the back to the front, and now this leans to the right. And then this is really annoying, but I have to knit this through the front loop like this, which is so fiddly. Yeah, okay, I got it now. Like this, and just knit that one, and this one is just a normal knit stitch. Now we're back to the beginning of the round and we have increased both sides of the center. So as the increases go along you will get a nice row of 2 stitches that stay the same. Then on both of those stitches the increases will branch out, so that will be really nice. Now I have to do this a couple more times, so I need to do this a total of 8 times. So every 4th row I'm going to make the increases, which is a total of 32 rounds. Then we can start working on the top of the sleeve, which means we're going to switch from working in the round to working flat. Okay, as you can see, I now finished the circular part of knitting the sleeves. I've done all the increases right here. And now I'm ready to start working on shaping the top of the sleeve. And to do that, I'm first going to cast off 4 stitches on this next row. And on the next row, which should be a purl row, we're going to cast off 4 stitches at the beginning as well. And from then on, we're just going to do some decreases every right side row. So let's get started. I'm first going to cast off 4 stitches. I'm just gonna finish this row all plain knit stitches, and that's the first row / round done. And now we're going to purl this row, and again consisting of 4 stitches at the beginning. As you can see, we now here have the edge for the underarm, and now I'm going to start doing the decrease round. And for this I'm going to decrease on all the right side rows as I did throughout this whole project. I'm going to again keep 3 edge stitches here, and we're going to do the decreases before and after those. Now we're going to do a slip slip knit to decrease, and then go and knit all the way till I have 5 stitches left on my needle. And here we're going to do a knit 2 together. And this is the finished sleeve. I've also already quickly off camera knit the other sleeve, so now we have 2. Now what I need to do is sew up these side seams and then set in the sleeves, and then we can start working on the collar, which is the final step. So we're really getting close to finishing this. So I'm quickly going to sew up all these things off camera, and then we'll be back to do the collar. Okay, so the side seams are finished and the sleeves are set in. I've already quickly picked up 25 stitches along here, then the stitches that were left on the scrap yarn, again 25 stitches from here, and then on the back again the stitches from the scrap yarn. So now I can start working the collar. So I'm using my smaller needles again, and I'm gonna go and work a twisted rib. Here we have the collar finished, or at least the knitting part is finished. So I went with about 10 rounds, I believe, which is roughly 3 centimeters. So now I need to bind this off, and for this I'm going to use the Italian bind off. You've technically already seen the final result in the intro, but here we have some more shots of the finished sweater and some more close-up shots. And as I said before, I love how this turned out, and I really enjoyed knitting this and making a video. I hope you also enjoyed watching this video, and if you are interested, like I said before, you can get the pattern in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye!